Hey there VC, I'm finally back for another video. I'm filming this one on my phone, so it might look a little different or sound a little different. This is just a variety of finds from the last couple of weeks. One really cool find that I'm excited at, you might want to call it a grail for me, from an artist that I really love and have always loved his music for about 5 years. This has been on my want list for that long, so we're just going to start right off with that one. This is the Two Tones at the Village Corner, featuring Gordon Lightfoot, one of my favorite Canadian artists of all time. This is from 1962 in mono. There's two different versions of it. One's on the Chateau label, and one's on this label here. And it's still released in the same year, but this is a great live album recorded in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. They do great songs. My favorite on here is probably Dark as a Dungeon, Gordon Lightfoot singing, and it's with one of his friends who was also a school teacher at the time, Terry Wellen. And it's really interesting. It was recorded after a big snowstorm. It was a small place in Toronto, and you can kind of picture it when you're listening to the album. It's really a really great listen. I enjoy it very much, and I can definitely cross that one off my list now. Same with this. I never find this for $5. This is the band with music from Big Pink. Second pressing, gatefold on the Canadian Rainbow Capital label, one of my favorites of all time. Great songs on that. You all know that album. Nothing more I can really say about it. A couple thrift store finds. I was not going to leave a Kiss album at the thrift store. This is Dressed to Kill, their third album. The cover obviously is in a bit of rough condition. I don't know what people were doing to it with that tape on there. It's a later pressing, but I just could not leave that. Next up, another thrift store find. This is a UK pressing of Cliff Richard and the Shadows on Columbia. That was the same haul. So recently it hasn't been amazing at the thrift stores, but I haven't struck out either. This is another Cliff Richard album, which I already had, but this is a definite upgrade. This is Summer Holiday. Has the original inner sleeve still inside, so that was pretty cool for $3. I know, my Goodwill charges $3. And here's Glenn Campbell, one of my favorite country artists. This is the Good Time album from 1970. It's on that green Capitol label, and I really enjoyed this album. You really cannot miss with Glenn Campbell. There's not one album that I haven't heard of his that I thought was bad, so, other way around. I mean, there's not one album of his that isn't good in my opinion. This one's kind of funny. This is Tony Orlando and Dawn with Candida. This one has Knock 3 Times on it, as well as the title track, which is really good. This kind of gets put in the category of cheese, but I really enjoyed this. I spun it all the way through. It's on Bell Records from 1970, and I recommend picking it up if you can find it for $1. Tony Orlando is really talented. Moving on, different genre. This is REM with Document from 1987. It's got their hit Strange on it, which I really enjoy. And it's in great condition, so Canadian pressing, didn't have it, couple bucks. Never see REM on vinyl. It's one of those groups that you just, like I said, you don't see them for cheap. A lot of their albums have been reissued, but I definitely will go for the original over the reissue every time, basically. And another UK pressing, this is the Four Seasons with Ain't It a Shame. This is on the Stateside label. There it is. Flea market find for $5. So that was exciting. Next up in the original shrink wrap, it's kind of coming apart there, but not too bad. I'm still going to leave it on. An artist that you can get for really cheap who's really talented. And you all know Louis Armstrong. This is his most famous album, but if you go back in his catalog, he's got a lot of records, and they can be pretty cheap. So, yeah, I picked this one up for a couple bucks on the ABC label. And I'm probably going to look for Louis at the Calgary Music Collectors Show, which is on Sunday. So I'm excited for that. It's always a good show. We have 2 a year, so I will be looking for all the stuff I always look for, Elvis and all that stuff. And I will have another video on the channel coming up. Next up, this is another Louis Armstrong album, but I found this at a thrift store for $3. It's just a compilation. Sounds good. And moving on with the thrift store finds, this is also put into the category of cheese, but I enjoy this album a lot. This is Sergio Mendes' first album from 1966 on Atlantic. I never even knew this one existed. I always thought it was with the Brazil 66. So when I found this, it was really neat. And it's a great album, actually. It's a great kind of jazzy Latin jazz album. So pretty underrated, too, I think. Moving on, of course you know this guy is Bruce Springsteen's saxophonist. This is his solo album from 1985. This is Clarence Clemens with Hero. There's a great song on here that I enjoyed called Temptation. This is a really good album all the way through. Even, who's on this one? I can't remember now. Oh yeah, Jackson Browne. He sings on the first song, and it's really good. So if you see this album, it's on Bruce Springsteen's label that he's on. Well, it's not his label, but the same label that Bruce is on, Columbia. And it's weird. This is a weird copy because the barcode's on the cover, and the same it's on the label. So it was kind of weird. I don't know what's going on with it, but I enjoyed that one. It's in good condition, so you can't beat that. Next up here, I've got another kind of Motown-y soul funk album. This is Brick. If you haven't heard this one, you definitely should check it out. It's kind of, you know, what you expect from the 80s. A little bit of electronic on it, and I enjoyed it very much. Another thrift find. Moving on, you can't go wrong with Elvis. As you know, I'm a crazy collector. Ordered this one on Discogs, was a little bit disappointed. Because it stated that it was an original pressing sealed with the hype sticker, and it sort of is, but not really. So this is probably in 1978. As you can see, it's got the Our Memories sticker. So I was a little bit disappointed. I didn't pay too much. I was only out about $20, but it's sealed, it's mint, and it's an album you do not see a lot from Elvis Good Times. And one of his best, in my opinion, from the 70s. Another Elvis album that I have a million copies of, but this one is a different version that I didn't have. So it originally had kind of a die-cut cover with the booklet, and this is a later pressing just on the black kind of RCA label you'd see from the 80s. Anyways, VC, those are my finds, so take care, and I will come back with another video coming up after the record show. So everyone have a great day. Thanks for subscribing, liking, sticking around, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye for now.